In this segment, we're going to take a look at the Apple Certified Support Professional, or ACSP. The ACSP certification has been around for quite a while with Apple, and it's designed for technicians that are working in business environments where you're supporting Apple computers, right? Be they laptops or desktops mostly, but a little bit of mobile, iPad, iPhone type environments. But for the most part, we're focusing on the Mac OS X side of things, right? That operating system that we still run on laptops and desktops. So ACSP is not really designed for a home user, right? Just a person who's got a single Mac or a couple of Macs at home and that's it. We're really talking about businesses. What do businesses go through when they deploy Macs, right? And it kind of boils down to two different things. One is just supporting the native environment inside of Mac OS X, and then the other side is getting it to interact with non-Apple operating systems. So if you've got Linux systems or Microsoft Windows systems, you got to get the two to talk to each other. So the ACSP is a nice certification that covers a lot of that, right? From basic installation, which is where we're going to start, all the way up to more advanced things like security and enforcing policy across your network. So it's a really cool certification. Covers really practical skills. All too often we see technical certifications that are out there that cover things that are esoteric or things that you just aren't going to implement in real life land very much. But this one, the ACSP, covers real-world activities that you can expect to perform if you're supporting Apple devices in your network. All right, well, the exam itself is pretty straightforward. What we're going to be doing in this IT Pro TV series is covering all of the exam objectives that are covered on the actual ACSP exam. Now, before I jump into those objectives, let's talk a little bit about that exam. Unlike the entry-level Apple certifications, like the Apple Certified Associate or ACA, those certifications, you could take those exams at a Pearson VUE Center anywhere you wanted. You can actually take them from your desktop. You can just go online and take the exam. For this one, for ACSP, you have to take it at an Apple Authorized Training Center, an AATC. All right? So you've got to locate an AATC near you. Now, most of the AATCs do run the course for this certification. The official course, if you want to take it, is the Yosemite 101 course. And before that, it was the Mavericks 101. They always name it after the OS it's based on. And it's a great course. It takes usually 5 days, and you take it at an AATC. We're going to cover the same exact content here. The advantage being you can do it at your own pace and get ready for the exam the same way. But either way, whether you do the official course or you watch our shows, if you want to get the certification, you've got to take the test at an AATC. We don't have any way to administer that to you guys. So you got to locate one that's near you. If you're like me, the nearest one's about 2 hours away, so I got to hop in the car and drive a bit. But you go down there and you can take the exam. The exam is a multiple choice exam for the most part. There are some drag and drop and some what are called hotspot questions where they show you a picture and you have to click on an area, like click on the icon that would take you to a utility that can perform this action, and you got to click on the right icon, that kind of thing. Drag and drop will be, here's a list of events, drag them and put them in the right order. It's pretty straightforward questions, right? No real trick questions or anything. You know what you need to do, you answer the question, and you move on. It is a big exam. It's 80 questions, or around 80 questions, and you get 2 hours to do it in. So that's about 1.5 minutes per question, which is a pretty decent amount of time if you know what you're doing. If you know the content, you won't have any problem finishing in time. But if you have to deliberate on a lot of the questions, you'll run out of time fast. And that's unfortunate because any question you don't get to is marked as wrong, right? You don't get credit for those questions. All right, so as far as taking the exam, finding your local AATC, that's a big part of it. And you can go to Apple's website, and they have where you can pull that information up. In fact, if you haven't been to Apple's website yet, that's a great place to start learning about this certification. You can go to training.apple.com/certification. All right, that'll take you to the certification page, and you'll find in there where they've got certifications for creative professionals like graphics design and IT professionals. All right. And they've got the Mavericks 10.9 and the Yosemite 10.10 certifications up now. The Yosemite stuff, at the time of this taping, is not all done yet. They're still in the works of creating it. But as soon as it's all done, they'll phase out the 10.9 certifications, and you'll see that go away. So if you go to the webpage and you don't see 10.9, don't be surprised. All right. Now, when we go into 10.10, you'll see a few of the certifications that are available. And they're only listing 3. There's actually 4. The 4th one's not done as of today. There's the Apple Certified Associate for Mac Management Basics, right, which is for just the basic administration of an Apple device. That exam is really straightforward, and if you're just getting started with this, that's really where you should start. Here at IT Pro TV, we've already taped the series for Mac Management Basics. We did it for 10.9, but there's no significant changes to that exam from 10.9 to 10.10. So if you study the 10.9 material, you can take either the 10.9 or 10.10 exam, and you'll do just fine. It's an inexpensive exam. It's $65 to take it, and you can take it from your own desk. You don't have to travel anywhere. So if you're just getting started with Apple, that's really where you should start. All right. The Apple Certified Associate for Mac Integration, that's getting your Macs to work together with Windows machines. There's a lot of Microsoft Windows machines out there in businesses, in business environments, so you need to get them to talk to each other and exchange information, and that's what that certification is all about. It covers some really great stuff. Again, we've already taped that series. We did it under 10.9, but no significant changes. There's a few little things that have been added. We're actually going to record some extra videos to correct for those, but for the most part, it's the same. Next is the Apple Certified Support Professional, and that's this series that you're about to watch. All right, that's the first of the upper level certifications. These are where things start to get a lot harder. All right, these first two exams, they're pretty easy. Most people should be able to study and pass those exams in about a week, really. If you watch the series and hit the book, and the book is free, you can download it right from their website. That's the book for those guys right there. You can download it, study. It should take you a week, maybe 2 weeks to get ready, get those certifications, and have them on your resume. But for the ACSP, it's a lot more material. It's a big exam. It's a ton of information, and this one's going to require a lot more work. All right. So if you're just getting started, start with these two guys here. Right. There's a lot of overlap. The things that you learn here, you'll see again in ACSP. So having that under your belt, already having that knowledge is pretty handy. Right. Now there's another level up above this one, the ACTC, that's not showing up here. That's the Apple Certified Technical Coordinator. And the only reason it's not showing up is the 10.10 version is not out yet. If I go back to the 10.9 page, you'll see the ACTC right there. All right. I'm going to use this page for a minute just to kind of show you guys how this works. But basically, the ACSP is where you start. All right. The earlier exams, the ACAs, those are not prerequisites. You don't have to do those. If you don't want to do the ACAs, fine, don't. Just skip right past them, right? If you already have that knowledge and you're ready to move up to the next level, then you don't have to bother with it. I encourage people to do it, but it's not a requirement. All right. Then the ACSP, that's that first step for the higher level certification, and it's one show, or this series that we're about to do, and one exam, right? The exam is the OS 10 or OS X Support Essentials 10.10 exam. This says 10.9. All right. And it tells you right there, available only at Apple authorized training centers. And if you click on that link, it'll take you where you can find the one near you. Now, they do have the official Mavericks 101 course, but this is what I wanted to point you guys to right here, the exam preparation guide. The exam prep guide has a lot of information to get you ready for the exam. And the main thing is, well, actually, you know what, let me go back to 10.10. Here we go. The main thing is when we go into that exam prep guide, it's a PDF. Your machine will download it, and you'll pull it up here. It'll tell you what to expect on the exam. A lot of the stuff that I've been saying right here, that you've got the entry-level certs and the higher-level certs. It'll tell you in here how many questions the exam is here. 80 questions. You got to score 73% to pass. So general information that you'll want to know to be prepared. But the most important part is right down here where it goes into the exam objectives. All right. The exam is broken up across 8 different knowledge areas. Part 1 is installation and configuration. What does it take just to install Yosemite, right? And do a basic configuration to get it up and operational. That's the first part. And then they list all the things you should know. Read through these. Do you already know all of these? If you already know how to do all of these things, then you can skip past that section and go to the next one, right? Or if you need a refresher, if you don't know some of these things, then go ahead and watch it, right? Watch that show or a couple of shows, and we'll cover that content as we move through, right? After that, it starts to move into other areas, like, if I can scroll down and find it, they have like some review and practice questions in there too, which is kind of nice if you're getting ready. Part 2 is user accounts, and so we start breaking down the different types of user accounts in macOS and how to create them, how to disable them, and all the various things that are involved in managing that. Now, when we talk about managing user accounts, they might be local accounts on your individual machine, but they might also be network accounts on a machine that's running like OS X server. So there's different types of accounts that you need to be aware of. And then there's also some underlying hidden accounts, like the root user account. We talk about those. It's pretty good stuff, right? Things that you will encounter in real life. And so it breaks all those down, and you start to see that information. Now, for the ACSP, you don't see a lot of server items, right? So we'll mention that, yeah, there's user accounts if you have OSX server, all right? But we're going to work with the local accounts here in ACSP. For those of you moving to the next level, the Apple Certified Technical Coordinator, that's where the server information comes in. And let me go back to that page that was the 10 point, oh, that's not what I wanted. That was the 10.9 page. I'm just going to jump back to that one to show you guys how these stack together. The ACA, that was not a prerequisite for getting the ACSP, all right? So you don't have to do the ACAs. You can skip past them and do the ACSP, all right? But if you want your Apple Certified Technical Coordinator, if you want to get the ACTC, you have to get the ACSP first. So the ACSP is that first step on the advanced level certification. You've got to do the ACSP first. Once you pass it, then you do the ACTC. And when you've passed both, that's when you're awarded the Apple Certified Technical Coordinator. And if you look at the two courses, you've got this Mavericks 101 and you've got the Mavericks 201. The 101 is what we're going to be covering here in ACSP. That's the OSX Support Essentials, and we're doing 10.10, right? The other one is OSX Server Essentials 10.10, all right? So that's why we move the server stuff off. So if you watch the ACSP show and you're like, man, that was a good show, but Don, you didn't cover any server stuff. Are you scared? Well, no, I'm not scared, I promise. Well, maybe a little. But we move it off to another show, right? Because it's covered in that OSX Server Essentials, right? So that's where we're going to tackle that one. And the two combined, it's 2 exams, you pass them both, and you get your ACTC, all right? And that's usually the certification that people are reaching out for. ACSP looks good on your resume. It'll help you get in and get that job. ACTC is where you really show that you have expert level knowledge of implementing Macs in a business environment. In a home environment, you're not going to have a server. But in a business environment, you will. And that server knowledge is really important. And so that ACTC is a great goal to reach out for. All right. But that's not what we're covering in this show. We're doing ACSP. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that are covered in there. We're going to talk about installation and configuration, right? We already saw that. We're going to talk about user accounts, and the user accounts that are on the system, the pre-built ones as well as ones that we make ourselves. We're going to look at the file systems that Mac OS uses as far as the Apple-supported ones like HFS as well as third-party ones like NTFS and CDFS, and we'll get a chance to see those. We're going to take a look at data management as far as things that we can do with the information we store on our hard drives. Yosemite introduced some really cool stuff like universal tagging, and if you haven't used that yet, it's really cool, so we'll get a chance to see some of those. We're going to talk about applications and processes. How do we install applications and keep them updated? And how do we control the applications? If we have one start to run wild and eat up all of our CPU, how do we even know that happens, right? So we'll get a chance to see that and how to work with them. We're going to do network configuration. In this day and age, it's a rare computer that isn't at least connected to the internet. But more importantly, you'll want to connect your computers together so they can exchange information, and we'll get a chance to see that in networking. We'll also see system management. And system management ranges from keeping our systems up to date as well as controlling their configuration. So we'll get a few examples there to see how to keep our systems nice and clean and operating smoothly. And then we wrap up the series talking about security, and it's actually a part of system management. And so we'll see like the firewall, the gatekeeper, some of the other applications that Apple builds in to keep your computer safe so that you don't have to worry about things like viruses and all that mess that the other guys do. Right? So that's the general range of topics that we're going to be covering. Remember that ACSP is focused on Yosemite itself, on the operating system, versus the ACTC, which moves to the server side and now starts to get a little more different, right? Blended services across the network. So two kind of different areas that we're going to jump into. All right, well, if all of that sounds exciting and interesting to you, then you're in the right place. Stay tuned. Our ACSP series is starting next.